It's Tuesday, August the 17th, King of the Mountain State Show. I'm Chase Hill. My guest tonight needs almost no introduction in the state of West Virginia. He's been a state champ, a regional champ. He's been a kickboxing world champ. With over 20 years in the school system as a teacher and running his gym for over a decade, he's had a big impact on the youth and the community there in Parkersburg. One of the best fighters that I've ever met, one of the best people I've met, my good friend, Lightning Mike Sheppard.
Thanks for having me, Chase.
Hey, no problem, man. I'm glad you're here. Before we get started on the fighting too much, one thing I wanted to ask you about, I know my brother's wife is a school teacher. It's a demanding job. How have you been juggling that? You've been a school teacher for what, 20 years now? You've been running the gym, you've been training, you've been raising kids. Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to the past couple of decades, juggling all this stuff.
Well, it's it's a blur. I used to coach at the high school. I coached a little bit of all three sports, football, wrestling, and baseball. And then I would also train and fight. And on the weekends it was open, and I don't know how I did that, but I mean, I would teach all day, coach a couple hours, drive to Glenville and train a couple days a week, then do stuff on my own. Then the weekends at work, I would get on an airplane and go out west or somewhere and do a boxing fight, an MMA fight, or a kickboxing fight, or a tournament or something. And I don't know, I won the U.S. heavyweight kickboxing championship, and my trainer told me, he said, you might want to think about getting out of that coaching for a few years and see where this takes you. And so I did that. I resigned all my positions reluctantly. I didn't really want to, but the community was kind of down on me. But the first season I wasn't a coach, I got to go to Moscow and kickbox for a world championship, and I won. So, and from there, I just kept going. And then I opened the gym and down here and started promoting fights and training people. And I don't know, I just keep doing
it. There's only so many hours in the day, and you try to fit all this stuff in. I know you were raising those girls too during that time. Tell me this, like you mentioned coaching and being an athlete and being in sports and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of athletes, there's a lot of sports, but not a lot of guys decide to be a fighter. Like, what was the point in your life where you decided that you enjoyed this, you were good at it? Like, how did you end up deciding you were going to be a fighter?
Well, I always wanted to when I was a kid, and I got out of high school and I met a guy that had started boxing, and I went to the gym with him, which was it was a makeshift gym. It was like a room in a guy's house. We trained there a few months. And within 6 months, the other guys kind of quit. I had to find somewhere else to go, and I just kept going. Then I transferred colleges, found more people. At just everywhere I've went, I've just kept pioneering and finding people, and people come to me wanting to learn, and we train together and we make each other better. I don't know. It's I've been around thousands of people in this. People tell me all the time, yeah, such and such used to train with you. Well, the names, there's thousands of them. We have right now, well, it's slowed down a little bit in the summer, but right before summer at the gym, we had 28 youth boxing, 28 in youth boxing, and about 45 adults training. Then we have cardio classes, and we have boxing, MMA, kickboxing. Now we have yoga as well. So
a little bit of everything going on in that gym.
Yeah.
Whenever you think about your fight career, like, someday when you're telling these stories as a grandpa or whatever, when you look back, I know some of the stuff where you went to Florida and you beat China Smith, and you were definitely being brought in to be the opponent, and you went down there and won. You mentioned Moscow or different places you've traveled to for these world titles. If I was to ask you a single highlight or a couple highlights from your fight career, what days have stood out the most to you?
Well, that first one over in Moscow, the first world title of 4, it was pretty special. And, I was kind of confused during the whole time from jet lag. I think I was over there 3 or 4 days before the fight, but I got adjusted. I'm good at. I have a hard time sleeping sometimes, so I'm like that a lot. Just kind of fuzzy, confused. And then we got up and kickboxed. The fights were started at noon, and I think my match was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which that was like 4 a.m. our time. Just I don't know, that first world title, and then my fight with Antonio Tarver was very memorable. It was just build up, big deal, and I did pretty well. But I was there as an opponent, and I lost, but I gave them all I had.
Now, wasn't there a fight in Australia or somewhere? Didn't you have a world kickboxing fight out there?
Yeah, I want to fight over there. It was a nice place, and the people over there are really nice. I liked Australia, but I was just a good bit better than the guy. He really wasn't in my league. It was a pretty easy fight, to be honest.
A lot of people dream of traveling the world and going to some of those places, me included, and you got paid to do it, and had some fun with it. I'm sure there's some great stories that goes along with those.
Oh yeah.
Tell me now, like being retired, one of the things that, as much time as we've been around each other, one of the things that I've really picked up is you truly love the fight game. Like you love the fight game. You love being around at the events when you've got a guy fighting, working his corner, whatever. What all are you doing now to stay active in the fight game as far as the gym and coaching guys? And I know you're promoting shows and different stuff like that. How are you staying busy as a retired fighter?
Well, you said it. Training people, you just stay busy. And then sometimes people will hire me to be a matchmaker. And now with you, and then you asked me to do commentary on your fight show. Well, I did it again. A couple weekends ago, I was up in Moundsville, and one of the guys didn't show up. So part of the card, when my boxers weren't boxing, he asked me to come and help him. So I did some commentary up there at Moundsville.
Yeah, and the commentary that you did with us at King of the Mountain State 1 down in Bluefield, I know that was like the maiden voyage for you, and same for Scott Kuhn. But I thought you guys did a great job, like a bunch of knowledge that you have, and the way you're able to kind of analyze the fights. That was pretty fun for you to do. You enjoyed that?
Oh, that was a blast. I loved it, and I like talking to people about boxing, fighting, and that's right down my alley. And then especially another person that's knowledgeable, we can compare and contrast, and argue or whatever, but I like it.
So tell me this, you mentioned training those guys, and I know your gym. How long have you had that gym? What, over 10 years?
January 4th, 2011.
All right. So
11 years.
So
10 years.
So let me ask you this. I know you've seen some guys come through there and had some success. One of the staples, it seems like, at the guys that you train, they all learn to hit with some real power. Who's the next big thing? You have any prospects or any guys coming up in the gym right now that we should expect some pretty big stuff out of?
Well, look out for Dustin Eckert. He hadn't boxed in a couple of years, but he's been coming back around, nosing around, and he's been coming in and sparring with the guys, and it's helping Andrew Satterfield. Andrew Satterfield just lost a fight by split decision up in Moundsville to a guy from Pittsburgh. And I don't think Andrew lost a round of that fight, but that's boxing. Andrew's on top of his game. He's doing really well, putting a lot into it, training harder and more than ever, looking better. He's light. I don't know.
I remember a time back, I guess it was maybe 2013, 2014, 2015, sometime through there, when Dustin was transitioning from, he actually kind of reminded me a lot of you and how you got started. He started in the semi-pro little tournaments and then was just raw talent. He was stronger than everybody else and an athlete, if you will, and then started to put some boxing together. But there was a stretch for Dustin where, he went a couple years where he kind of controlled his weight class there in the state. I'm sure if he gets going again, even being older now, more experienced. Yeah.
He could now too. He's better now than he was when he was fighting. He, with experience, I think I was at my best about 39 years old.
Right.
Because, here it took a while to learn the game. And as you learn how to fight, you got to experience the ups and downs. You got to try it and apply it. Sometimes it don't work, sometimes it does, and you go back and you work on it and get better. But Dustin's 35, and I look for him to do something here, not necessarily on a local level, but worldwide level. He's looking to go somewhere and do something.
Well, he's got a good record. He's got a good record for himself. He's got the physical tools to be able to go and compete with guys who maybe have grown up with hundreds of amateur boxing fights, whatever. But
he's 17-3 and he's got 4 wins in a row, but he hasn't boxed in 2 years.
Right.
And
but that's a guy that I definitely think could go. Now, do you see yourself kind of gravitating towards some of these guys who remind you of yourself? Because it is, there's some resemblance there between the way he fights, the way you fight. There's not a whole lot of guys that's going to come through your gym that's going to be pure just defensive fighters. Is that something that you're able to take your own skill set and pass along to these guys?
Well, Dustin's he does a lot of things like me, but he does a lot of things different too. Some things that I did he can't do, but he does other things. Like he's a freaky athlete. He can do things. He does things not particularly like you're supposed to, but nobody can do anything about it. Like, if you know what I mean, he can do it the wrong way, way better than anybody else doing it the right way. It's right. Really weird. He's really gifted. He's so raw and strong. It's scary.
With your promotional company, I know you just had an event up there in Parkersburg. The outdoor event looked awesome. The fights were totally awesome. I was able to watch some of the pay-per-view on a replay. Tell me a little bit about what you got coming up as far as the promoting standpoint.
Well, my next event's October 16th at the Armory up here in Parkersburg. I just got it locked down. Starting in the morning, collecting sponsors. I got a lot of people wanting to jump on board. So we'll do that, start putting a bout sheet together, and see who wants to fight. Go from there. And I'm sure we'll pack it out. It's not a big place.
Are you planning on that being an amateur heavy card, maybe featuring a couple pros at the end of it, something like that?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, when you do those cards, it's a lot of mixed battles too, right? Like you have some kickboxing and.
Yeah, the last one I had 5 MMA fights, 3 kickboxing fights, and 9 boxing fights. So yeah, we spread them out. We don't do them all. We sprinkle them in, and keep people. That way, everybody. We get kickboxing fans, MMA fans, grappling fans, boxing. I think people like that more.
Well, and I've noticed, like me as a fan, I've watched, there's been times where I've went to a boxing event or whatever, and there's been a kickboxing event, which I hadn't really been exposed to that much. And then I really liked it, so I think it's a chance for fans who typically come to certain events to get a taste of some other stuff. My next event coming up, the King of the Mountain State in Huntington, August the 28th this month. You'll be there doing the commentary for pay-per-view, the live stream. You've also got a kid from your gym coming up to fight, Mitchell Reynolds. I've seen video of him. Haven't met him in person yet, but he looks like he's pretty well put together too.
Oh yeah, he's a specimen. He's a great athlete, and he's a 3-time champion, the semi-pro champion, and but he would just come around 2.5 months before tournament time.
Right.
And we'd get him ready, and we've been working on some technical stuff with him, because he wasn't a guy that was around all the time. He'd just come a little bit before the time to fight, and just get in shape and spar. And he's durable, he's experienced, he'll be hard to beat.
He's a guy
he'll be one of my favorites.
If you can figure out how to keep him in the gym all the time, he'll end up being another guy that can make a real.
Oh, he's a great athlete. He was in the gym tonight, and he's a great person too. Great young man. I think he's 25 years old. He's a policeman over in Marietta, Ohio. Just a good young man.
Tell me a little bit about your new gig. I mean, you've been at the same school for how long, and now this is the first year changing.
Tell me, County High School for 21 years, and I just went to Parkersburg South High School, which it's a bigger school. Work County is really small, but
and this is week 1 for that job, right? This is brand new.
I had my second day today. Had open house. Put me back a little bit this evening, but I know a lot of the people. It's the next school over from, and I live down here now, so it's the job pays a little more. It's got a little more. The county pays a little supplement on top of the state.
Is it pretty close to the gym?
Yeah, real close. Like probably 4 minutes, and about 7 minutes from my house.
That's good. I've got a couple guys that kind of similar situations as Dustin, where they were in it and they did well, and then they kind of got out of it. And one of those guys down in Charlotte right now, Chris Jones, 5-0. He's a guy that I've always felt like would be a good fit with you training him, and I'm gonna be trying to get him up there to Parkersburg, because that's a guy.
We have a lot of guys his size too to work with. We have light, heavy cruisers. I mean, Dustin Eckert's a cruiserweight now. They could help each other.
Yeah, I don't know that you would get much better sparring than Dustin Eckert and Chris Jones. I mean, so. Well, we've got this event coming up. It's only 11 days away. Advertising and stuff's ramping up for it now. We had good sponsorship. The card's going to be great. We're going to get the light heavyweight division started. I'm anxious to see the heavyweights. You were at part 1. If you were to kind of guess or make a prediction, who do you think ends up fighting for this heavyweight King of the Mountain State? I mean, from what you've seen, you got any favorites out there?
Well, some of those boys, I'll tell you, Gary looked really tough. Gary
Rowland.
Yeah, Gary Rowland from down around Huntington. But Derek Gibson beat him in the tough man contest about 3 years ago. But 3 years is 3 years. And Derek just looked kind of passive out there. His fight, I don't know. Those two will be probably my favorites, but I'm not the one out there feeling the punches. I don't know.
And the bracket's set up to where if those two guys end up inevitably meeting each other, it'll be in the finals. So should be pretty exciting. A lot of these light heavyweights, you know, they pack almost the same power that the heavyweights do, some of these guys, but they're a little bit quicker, a little bit more agile. I think it'll be action packed. I'm looking forward to it.
Did I see one of the boys, a light guy that was in the heavyweight tournament? He might have won.
Yeah, that was Bobby Freshness. Yeah, he's from Bluefield area. He down there where the event was at. He won in the heavyweight division, but he weighed in at 195 pounds. Luckily, 196. Luckily for him, his opponent Brody Rutledge was 206, so they were able to fight each other. But it was just unfair to ask him to keep fighting guys that were 250, 260. So we had him move down. He's been cutting weight. He's going to come in light heavyweight. So I mean, he could be a force to be reckoned with in that class.
Oh yeah. I mean, he beat a heavyweight. So yeah, he looked pretty good. Big, tall, lanky fella.
Yeah.
Good jab.
Yeah, a good boxer for a kid that's also not had that much training. You know, good athlete, knows what he's doing. He's really been working his butt off. We've had good communication, good plan, big plans for him someday. Mike, thanks for taking time and talking to me, man. I appreciate it. We have the event in 11 days, so I'll be coming up from Florida. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm glad
excited.
you're doing the commentary again. This one should be a really good one. Tickets are now on sale at kingofwv.ticketleap.com. We're going to stream you talking live about it with Scott Kuhn and Don Pennington. All a 3-man commentary team on combatsportsnow.com. As we get closer to the event, we'll be putting stuff on Facebook, the links where everybody can get on there and watch the fighters do their thing and watch you do your thing. So again, man, it's always good talking to you. I'll see you pretty soon. Thanks for sitting down and passing along some of this knowledge and stuff with us. And I look forward to seeing you here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
All right, man. I'll see you soon.
11 days.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, bye.